Alright, everyone, hello. This is a considerably late video to be making it. I mean, F1. The F1 starts in, what, 6 or. We're not going to say that number actually, I know what you guys are like. F1 starts in about 6 hours, FP1 does. As of recording this is a very late video. I literally only made my predictions about 2 days ago. I have held this off for a while. But anyway, welcome to my F1 2026 Championship predictions. Of course, we're going to be starting with the constructors. If you are new here, please subscribe. If you're not, but you're not subscribed, please subscribe. It would help me out a bunch. Of course, also like the video and leave your predictions in the comments. Of course, I'd love to see what everyone else is thinking. Going into the season, it's going to be hard with new a new team in Cadillac, new what they're called, whole new car for everyone. New regulations, that's the word I'm looking for. I am completely washed, apparently. There's a new driver on the grid. There's two old drivers coming back. It's going to be really hard to predict it. And a team which I was rating highly about a month ago, when we were in Spain pre-season testing, apparently they're not even going to be competing in Australia. Talks of Aston Martin, of course. I mean, you've had teams sacrificing their 2025 in Alpine just for their 2026 car. How are they going to do? Williams did the complete opposite. They put everything into 2025, so who knows how their 2026 car is going to look. Who knows, we might have a new team in the top four outside of Red Bull, McLaren, Mercedes and Ferrari. This is stuff you just cannot predict. I mean, quite clearly you can't predict that stuff because look at last season's goddamn predictions, and that was without new regulations. I said bloody Ferrari to win both championships. They were the worst team in the top four. They didn't even get a win outside of Hamilton's sprint win. But anyway, enough of talking, enough of wasting time. Let's get into the predictions. Starting in the constructors, starting in last place, we have Cadillac. Now, of course, I think this is most obvious from the predictions I have seen from, I mean, the only one I've watched is Matt and Tommy's from the P1 podcast. But I feel like everyone's sort of on the same level with Cadillac being in last. They're a new team. They don't have the experience or the infrastructure or anything. The only thing Cadillac already have is the fact they have two very experienced drivers, Valtteri Bottas and Sergio Perez, which I believe would be third and fifth on the grid for most experienced, behind Fernando and Lewis, and then Hulkenberg. I could be wrong in saying that. But yeah, they might be third and fourth, actually. I believe they're both more experienced than Nico Hulkenberg, but anyway. It's going to be hard to predict. But I feel like this is the most set in stone one, with Cadillac being last. I could be wrong. They could come out with a Brawn GP type car and win every single race. How that would be upsetting for the Tifosi, who are highly rating their new car. But yeah, I don't see anything in Cadillac. Their pre-season testing was quite underwhelming. I say quite underwhelming. They did finish last, if you don't include the Aston Martins, and to be fair, that was still underwhelming. How do you feel? How do you finish last in pre-season testing and you're still being overrated? Like, I mean, I say overrated, of course. We haven't seen what's going to happen yet. Like I said, they could be in a rocket ship. They could have just been sandbagging. How are we supposed to know that? That's what predictions are all about. It's going to be completely random. But yeah, I am not seeing anything from this Cadillac team. I don't think there will be anything from the Cadillac team. At least in the first season, maybe with experience and experienced drivers come 2028. Hell, let's push it all the way to 2030. They could be a midfield team. I mean, look at Haas. No one was rating them when they first joined in 2016. And in 2018, I believe it was, they were average point finishers. I mean, they nearly got on the podium in the first race of the season in Australia if they didn't have the tyre malfunction that they did on both their cars. At the time, they were fourth and fifth. I hope I have the year right. It might have been 2017, actually. But yeah, I think it's quite obvious that Cadillac would finish last. So yeah, 11th place in the Construction Championship, we have Cadillac. On to P10, and we have Visa Cash App Racing Balls. Now, I think this one is also a little bit obvious from the pure fact that VCarb do get a lot of their parts from Red Bull, and when Red Bull's only just built their new car, what is VCarb gonna really have? They're just gonna have the goddamn factory car, and that's it. There's gonna be no upgrades on that thing. But and plus they did put quite a bit into 2025. They're not gonna have the most impressive of cars. I don't really see much light in Liam Lawson. He was pretty much a failed project since he came back from Red Bull in Japan, I want to say it was. Arvid Lindblad, he is a rookie, so there's also that. So they're going to be held down by a failed project and a rookie, and a car that I don't think is going to be the best just in general until in a couple years' time once they start getting good parts from Red Bull. Plus engine improvements as well, which is going to be a big thing. They have the Ford engine, which I don't think was rated that good. I think Ferrari and Mercedes have the best engines. So yeah, I'm not seeing much light from VCarb at all. So P10 for them. On to P9, and we have the new team, but not the new team, because it is just Sauber, rebranded to Audi. Audi's in P9, and honestly, I just see this one sort of the same as Cadillac. Sort of a new team, because I know it's more than just a little bit of a rebrand. I know it's supposed to be taking it a little bit more like how teams change actually. Like a whole reset outside of some of the people inside, of course, still keeping team principals, still keeping drivers, stuff like that, still keeping the same academy. But I feel like Audi's going to put a lot more work in. They want to represent their car brand a lot more in the world stage of F1. And I mean, they were starting beef with Mercedes a couple years ago on Twitter, saying 4 rings is better than a 3-point start or whatever the hell it was. But yeah, or silver rings is the new silver arrows. I can't remember what it was, but they're trying to have something to prove here, and I think they will prove that for a first season. I'm not saying proved as if they're going to get a podium, but they're not going to be last. That's what you have to prove. Can you not finish last as a half and half new team? On to the drivers and that. Gabriel Bortoleto, he had an okay 2025. He had races where he was racing like Mick Schumacher, and then he had races where he was driving like Michael Schumacher. That man was honestly on his period whether he wanted to finish in the point or in the last. So it's quite hard to call with Gabriel Bortoleto, but Nico Hulkenberg experienced, he's good, he's finally had his podium, he'll want more. I think Audi can provide that podium for him. There's an early prediction for you. Audi will get a podium in 2026. It'll be a really random podium, like, you know, when it was Pierre Gasly, Lance Stroll and Carlos Sainz on the Italy podium in 2020. It'll be something like that, where the top teams have all been knocked out for whatever reason. There'll be engine problems, there'll be a crash, and there'll be a poorly timed penalty, which will completely mess up whoever's first, which back for Italy 2020 was Hamilton. It could be something like that, but I do see Nico Hulkenberg being that driver that would get on that podium because of that. So yeah, I think thanks to stuff like that happening and just the randomness of F1, I do think Audi will be, I'm not going to say solid in the points. I don't think they'll be the average points finisher. Like a proper midfield team, I could still see them being a backmarker, but I think they are going to be like 9th or 10th, like once or twice every like 3 or 4 races. They're not going to be properly midfield, but they're going to sneak a point in every fortnight. So yeah, Audi in P9. On to P8 now, and we have the team I mentioned at the start, Alpine. Now, like I said, back at the start, they sacrificed their 2025, and let's be honest, they were bloody awful. Okay? I think we can say that with a guarantee. Alpine were dreadful in 2025. They were lucky they got a point, and that's only because Pierre Gasly is a goat. And I do see them improving. I mean, they sacrificed their 2025 for their 2026 car. They're gonna have something. Is it gonna be a good something? No, but they're not gonna be last. They're gonna be midfield. Last of the midfield. There'll be points every now and again, especially if the likes of Isaac Hadjar goes out, or a proper top driver, let's say Hamilton, engine failure, or Lando Norris crashes, something like that. I'm choosing random drivers, by the way. I'm not pointing fingers at anyone saying that this or that's going to happen, although Hamilton is quite lucky, and Lando Norris, I don't think, is the best of drivers. You did not hear that from me. But yeah, I don't think Alpine is going to be the greatest of teams ever, despite what they did last year for this year. I think they're going to have a very similar story to what Haas did in 2022, who sacrificed their 2021 car, came out with their 2022 car, and they were beating Mercedes week in, week out. I could see that happening with Alpine. I don't think... I think that'll just be at the start of the season. I think Alpine will have something to prove at the start of the season, and then as we go up and teams start improving, like Williams, like Haas, Aston Martin sort out their issues, I could see Alpine having just falling off. You know what the French are like, they're terrible at stuff. So, yeah, I'm going to say 8th place for the Alpine F1 team. On to number 7, and we have Williams, also mentioned at the start. Williams, who put a lot more into their 2025 car than I think they should have, considering where they're aiming for. I mean, they're trying to be back on the top stage again, like they were in the 90s and 2000s. And with Pastor Maldonado, apparently. I could see more podiums. I think this season's going to be very, very random. I could see them getting a couple podiums. Carlos Sainz, Alex Albon, they're going to be up there a lot. They're going to be the team that always finishes 9th and 10th. I'll chuck in a 7th and a 6th. They're going to get a couple podiums. But I just don't see them doing the best. Especially with engine issues that could come into play. Of course, new engine stuff is going to happen. The top teams are always going to have the best of engines, and then Williams are just going to get the scraps of the Mercedes engine and fall off a little bit. But I'm still saying they're going to get a couple podiums. But I just don't see them doing the greatest, outside of being probably the one that's in the points the most, outside of the top 4 teams. So yeah, I'm going to say Williams 7th. On to 6th place then. We have Haas. Now, this one was tough for me because Esteban Ocon, good driver, unfortunately, because I don't like him, but he is a good driver. Ollie Behrman, bloody hell did he prove something last season. He was an insane driver last season. Like, I would say driver of the season, Ollie Behrman. He's come in as a rookie. He's only done 3 races before last season. And that was replacing Carlos Sainz at Ferrari in 2024 and replacing, was it Hulkenberg at Haas in Brazil and Azerbaijan? Also in 2024, and then he came into 2025 pretty much as a rookie. He was more of a rookie than Liam Lawson. And honestly, he was the best rookie on the grid. When you take car into play, because obviously Kimi Antonelli was the highest finishing rookie. But when you bring car into play, I do think that Ollie Behrman was the best driver on the grid, and he will be a good driver again. He's got the experience now. He's got something to prove. They have the Ferrari engine, which I'm calling the best. I don't know if it's Mercedes or Ferrari that's the better engine, but I'm calling Ferrari the better engine. I just see something in Haas. I don't know what it is. I do love Haas anyway. They are my second favourite team, behind Red Bull. So I just see something out of Williams. Not Williams, Jesus Christ. I see something out of Haas. So I'm going to say P6. I could see them snatching. Like when Williams is going to be 9th, 10th, or 11th, Haas is going to be 7th or 8th, maybe a couple of 9ths. I think Haas and Williams are going to have a really good rivalry next year. Sort of bring back what they had. That team never really had a rivalry, did it? They sort of just swapped places with each other. Williams doing really well. I say really well. Williams were having top of the midfield drive when Haas joined, and then Haas became the top midfield team and Williams fell off. They never really had a season where they were neck and neck with each other. I guess the closest was 2020. George Russell and Roman Grosjean sort of moments. But this time it's going to be Ollie Behrman and Carlos Sainz. So yeah. On to P5, and I think this one will shock the most people. Maybe. But I've put Aston Martin. Now, obviously, I did also mention this at the start, but obviously they're missing Australia. It's come out, they're only going to do a couple of laps, pretty much use it as another pre-season testing, see how the car performs, when the engine breaks down, bring it into the pits and retire. They're not going to make it far through Australia. But come Miami time, Monaco time, they're going to have the engine issues sorted out. They're going to be in an Adrian Newey car, which we already know is pretty goated through our experience with Williams and McLaren in the 1990s and Red Bull in the 2010s and 2020s. Adrian Newey knows how to build a car. So I could see Aston Martin having a really good car. All they need to do is sort out their engine issues, which they're going to do by Miami. I'm guessing, I'm predicting. I'm not saying it's going to happen. And then Aston Martin's going to be up there. They're going to be averaging podiums. But they're only going to be P5 because of how much this start of the season is going to hurt. Like, let's say if they were just finishing P6, P8, P9. I've purposely missed out on a number there because I know what you guys are like. But when they're not finishing in them points like these teams do that suddenly fly up, like McLaren in 2023, where at the start of the season they were dead last, and by Britain they were averaging a podium, it's going to hurt, and they're not going to be a top 3 team like they know they can be because of the start of the season. But they're going to get wins. Fernando Alonso is going to be on his 33rd win. Lance Stroll is going to get a podium this season. You heard it here first, and you're only going to hear this last, because no one else is saying that, and I know that for a fact. Lance Stroll's getting a podium. Fernando Alonso's getting wins. And wins is multiple. Lance Stroll's podium's only a singular. I don't think he's going to be averaging a podium. But Lance Stroll is going to be finishing in the points quite a lot. And Fernando Alonso, he's going to be consistently top 5 by the time we hit the European stages around Monaco and Britain, Austria, stuff like that. Fernando Alonso is going to always be in that top 5. He's going to be challenging the likes of George, Charles, Lando, Max, Oscar, drivers like that are always up there. Fernando Alonso is going to be up there. He has the experience. He knows he can win races because he has 2 whole championships. And he deserves about 3 more. Let's not forget, 2007, 2010 and 2012, Fernando Alonso knows what he can do. I mean, we saw it in 2023. If we remove the rocket ship of Red Bull, Fernando Alonso would have had like 10 more wins under his belt. We know what Fernando can do. But this start of the season is going to hurt. As soon as Honda sorted our issues, we're going to see 2005 Alonso again. We're going to see his crazy little dance on top of his Renault. So yeah, Aston Martin, P5. P4. I've put Red Bull. Now, this one, I think it's quite obvious where I'm seeing this, and it's that second seat. Isaac Hadjar, I'm rating him. I actually am liking him. He's probably my favourite French driver that's ever been in F1. Mainly because I don't like Grosjean or Ocon, and Pierre Gasly's just sort of mid. But Hadjar's probably my favourite French driver I've seen on the grid since I've started watching F1. So I'm sort of giving him brownie points there just because I like him and I support Red Bull. So I'm always going to have that secret love for him. But I don't see the best out of him. I could see him being around the Williams and the Haas area and the Alpine, because we all said them teams are going to be averaging points every couple of races. He's going to be around there. I would say he's trying to strike a rivalry between Ollie Behrman and Carlos Sainz. He's going to be up there, but not up there as in the podium. But I am saying the second seat curse is over. He just needs to adapt to the car, because number one, he is going to be in a faster car. Let's be honest, that V-carb, as good as it was, Red Bull is always just going to have the better car. And not only does he just need to adapt to a faster car, he needs to adapt to the new regs, something that whilst everyone is doing, he is still only on his second season in F1. He's not going to have the adaptation skills that these other drivers around him have, especially the most experienced, like Fernando, like Lewis, like Hulkenberg, and Valtteri and Perez. He's not going to have that experience to be able to adapt like these more experienced drivers. So I think the start of the season especially is going to struggle with for him. I don't see him getting dropped out of the team if it's for Yuki or bring Liam back or even bring Lindblad back for whatever reason. But I could see him being up there. I'm going to call it now. Hadjar's getting a podium. I've said this for a couple of drivers now. I've said it for Hulkenberg. I've said it for Carlos Sainz and Alex Albon. I've said it to Lance Stroll. But, and I'm saying it now, Isaac Hadjar's also going to get a podium. You know what these like? First season regulations, it's going to be random. I was about to say remember in 2022 when such and such got a podium, just to realise I can't remember who got a podium in 2022 outside of Charles Leclerc, Carlos Sainz, and the two Red Bulls. Hell, you know what? Actually, I figured it out. Isaac Hadjar is going to put in a race like George Russell did in Brazil 2022. New regs, first season in that new car. Because, of course, he was in Williams before that. That was his first season in Mercedes. It came in a new regs. Because the new regs came in 2022. And he ended up getting a very dominant win. And a 1-2 with Hamilton. I can see Hadjar doing that same thing. I'm not saying it's going to be at Brazil. I'm not saying he's going to win. But he is definitely going to put up a fight come one race or the other. Whatever happens. Because, of course, in that Brazil race, Verstappen did get knocked out by Hamilton. Ferraris were struggling in that race a little bit as well. And they were the only really sort of teams in 2022. Everyone else was just sort of shit. So yeah, I see Isaac Hadjar doing something. It's been a very long ramble about Isaac Hadjar. And of course, considering the fact I've just brought up, now that I'm rambling with Hadjar for a while, that I should really move to the other driver, but it's Max Verstappen. You're telling me he's not going to get wins. You're telling me he's not going to be probably one of the most consistent drivers when it comes to getting on the podium. So yeah, Max Verstappen's obviously going to be averaging a top 4, so there's not really any point of talking about how well he's going to do, but it's going to be tough for Isaac Hadjar. Of course, with all of the pressure on him by the lads at Red Bull that like to kick drivers out after 4 races, with all the pressure of just the second seat curse in general, but I can still see him powering through, and Hadjar is going to get. He's going to break that curse. But anyway, enough about Red Bull. We're rambling on for way too long. Let's get on to McLaren. I mean, let's get on to third place. No spoilers. Who is McLaren? Sorry. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough for McLaren. I think they're going to be good. I don't see them being great. They have 2 brilliant drivers, Oscar Piastri, who could have won the championship last year, Lando Norris, who did win the championship last year. They're coming into new regs. McLaren do sort of struggle with new regs. We saw it in 2022. We saw it in 2014. We see this It's starting to become a bit consistent. It comes in threes. This is the third time we've had a engine, not an engine, a whole car reg change. So I don't really see McLaren doing the best. I mean, hopefully I'm wrong, because I know how much the fangirls will be crying if Lando does terribly. Sorry, what was that? Sorry. But yeah, I could see McLaren being third. I don't see anything world class from them. But I think McLaren's going to be pretty much on the same level as Max Verstappen when it comes to just averaging a podium, getting a couple wins, gonna have a couple engine failures like everyone will do. And I just see them getting caught up in something a bit massive. Like that. No, we're not bringing that back. So yeah, I see them being P3. It's as simple and as plain as day as that. On to P2 and P1. We'll talk about P2, but I'm basically going to reveal both, because you guys are going to know who's going to be second and first as soon as I say second. Second place, we have Mercedes, meaning I'm with the Tifosi on it. Ferrari's going to win the championship. Let's start with Mercedes. They're going to have a world class car. George Russell, he's going to be top 2. I can guarantee it now. George Russell is going to be one of the greatest drivers up there. He has his rivalry with Max Verstappen. He's best mates with Charles Leclerc. He's best mates with Lando Norris. If anyone's going to know how to win a championship, it's going to be the guy that's friends with a world champion and a guy who's come second about 40 times in the world championship, and who is a rival with one of the most consistent and greatest drivers in F1 history, Max Verstappen. He's going to know what to do. He's in Verstappen's head, for a start, as much as Max Verstappen might not like to admit it. And I don't like to admit it. But he is a little bit in Max's head. And I think with the new regs, and Max already says he doesn't like the car, I don't really see... I do really see George Russell doing quite well. And, of course, Kimi Antonelli, he impressed me last year. He's impressed me pretty much his whole career. He's in my top 3 favourite drivers. Of course, being topped by Max Verstappen. I could have worded that better, although being topped by Max Verstappen does sound quite nice. Sorry. Jesus Christ. I really don't know what's coming over me today. But yeah, Kimi Antonelli, brilliant driver. He's impressed me pretty much his whole career, in his F3 days and his days before that, and even in his rookie year, he got, was it 2 or 3 podiums with Mercedes? There was Vegas, there was Canada, and I can't remember where else. I want to say it's 3, but I can only remember 2. But I think even Kimi Antonelli would impress. It's his second season in F1. And I just feel like everyone does better in their second season. It could be beginner's luck. He could absolutely fall off. But they've given him the chance, and he will be a better driver this year. So Kimi Antonelli and George Russell, they're getting their car second. They're both going to get wins, fortunately for Kimi. I would love to see Kimi Antonelli to win. I love him. I think once Max retires from F1, wherever he's going to go, I will become a Kimi fan. I already basically am. You've heard how I've already ranted about him already. But yeah, I could see them both getting wins quite consistently. Both Kimi and George, especially George, but can't forget about Kimi. So Mercedes, you are in second place. Well done. Which of course leaves Ferrari, who we've already said is winning the championship. Lewis Hamilton, I think it's best we don't talk about. He got absolutely railed by Charles Leclerc. If you want to talk about one of the worst drivers last season, Hamilton is going to be on your list. And unfortunately enough, I do see it happening again. You'll see what I mean once we get to the Drivers' Championship, but I don't see Hamilton doing the best. He's going to get a podium this time. Hamilton is going to have a podium in red, although he does already have that, because 2007 he was in a Ferrari. But I do see him getting a couple of podiums. He might get a win. We're not going to make that a prediction like we have done with every single other driver who I've said is going to get a podium or a win. But he might. But Charles Leclerc, if we want to talk about a driver who deserves something more than he's already had, you're going to say Charles Leclerc. That man is more deserving of a world championship than Daniel Ricciardo, than Mark Webber, than Ferrari days Alonso. He is more deserving than them three drivers combined. Leclerc is more deserving of something more than Vettel was in 2017. That says something. And he is. Because Ferrari's going to win the World Constructors' Championship. So I think that's enough about ranting how the teams will do. And I think I have spoiled a couple of things in the Drivers' Championship. So let's get on to it. It's enough time wasting. How will the World Drivers' Championship look? Once again, we're going to start in last place. I think we already know who I'm going to put here. 22nd place. That sounds a bit weird to say. But it's Sergio Perez. He has the experience? Yes. Does he have the car? Fuck no. No, the hell Sergio Perez doesn't. Now, we know what Sergio Perez is like when he's in a pretty terrible car. We saw Perez at Racing Point. We saw Perez in Force India. We saw Perez in... what other teams did he race for? My mind has run a complete blank on that. You get my point though, but I don't see Cadillac being that good, and unfortunately enough, it is going to affect Sergio Perez. He might already have in his head about how he did at Red Bull, because he was pretty atrocious in 23 and 24. So I don't really see him coming out the best. So I'm just going to say Sergio Perez will be in last place in the Drivers' Championship. I think that is the most obvious one out of any prediction, is Sergio Perez to finish last in the championship. On to 21st, and I've put his teammate Valtteri Bottas. I think Valtteri Bottas is better than Sergio Perez. He has the experience at an actual top team for time. Because if you want to compare Sergio Perez at Red Bull or Valtteri Bottas at Mercedes, I think Bottas is better. But saying that, I still don't see him doing well at Cadillac. Like I said, I've put him 21st. I think Cadillac is going to be the lastest of lasts. I'm thinking some 2021 Haas type bullshit, or Alpine in 2025. I just really badly see them doing it awful. But I do think Bottas is going to average higher than Perez. So I'm saying 21st for Valtteri Bottas. Into somewhere more normal, in 20th place, I have Liam Lawson. I did sort of speak about this when I spoke about VCARB, but he has fell off since he got sacked from Red Bull in Japan last year. He's pretty bad now. Will he come back? Maybe. I mean, once again, let's bring it back to Sergio Perez. He did absolutely awful at the end of 2023. At the start of 2024, he was back up there. Then completely fell off again. So, he could be good. But between the car once again being awful, and also just having in his head that he might not come back to Red Bull, like Pierre Gasly found out, like Daniel Ricciardo found out, like Alex Albon found out, I just don't really see him doing the best. He's going to have all these thoughts in his head. He's going to be distracted whilst driving. I mean, obviously, he's a professional. I'm not trying to downplay him or anything, but I have my reasons why I think Liam Lawson's not going to do the greatest, and that's why Liam Lawson is finishing in 20th place. On to 19th. We have Gabriel Bortoleto. Now, I mean, I did sort of hype him up a little bit. I mean, I compared him to Michael Schumacher. But on the turn hand, I did also compare him to Mick Schumacher. So what does that tell you? That's what I thought. Shush. So, I just don't see him doing the greatest between the whole new car. He's a rookie, so it's going to take him a lot longer to get used to the new car in the new regs. I can't remember what engine provider Audi has. I want to say it's Mercedes, but I could be wrong. Oh no, they're building their own engine, aren't they? So that's going to be another thing, just like Aston Martin at Honda. They're not, they're completely new engine as well. I completely forgot to bring that up when I spoke about Audi finishing P9 in constructors. Um, but yeah, Gabriel Bortoleto is just going to finish 19th place. It's pretty much as simple as that. On to 18th place, and we have the only rookie on the grid, Arvid Lindblad. Now, I have just said that, but I am also thinking there's going to be a mid-season replacement. I don't know between who. It might be Franco Colapinto, like he so much deserves. It might not. But I am thinking Arvid Lindblad will be 18th. He's a rookie. He's got to get used to a new car. He's got to get used to a whole new sport, pretty much, because when you compare F2 to F1, it is completely different. He's not going to have the adaptation skills like every single other driver around him. Every single driver on this grid is more experienced than him, unfortunately enough. I think he's going to finish in the points a couple of times. It might be a lucky pit stop or a lucky safety car or something, but Arvid Lindblad is probably going to be somewhere. That's somewhere probably being about 15th. But yeah, P18 for Arvid Lindblad, I don't really know what else to say. So P17, because we have nothing else to say about 18th, let's just move on. P17, Franco Colabottle Pinto. I was really not impressed with him last season. I mean, he didn't even start the season, and he got lucky because Jack Doohan did terrible. So Franco Colapinto, P17. I think Alpine will have a better car, so I don't see him being dead last, mainly for the fact that I think VCarb and Cadillac will have a horrific car, and Audi. But I still see him doing awful, despite all of that. I think Franco will probably be averaging a bottom 5, but he will still finish above both VCarb, both Cadillac, and Gabriel Bortoleto. He's going to get more lucky than I think Lindblad will when it comes to getting points, and all the other drivers down there. He's going to be a little bit more lucky. I mean, he has experience of 2 years now. He raced in 2024 as well, I think. So I'm not saying he's going to do god awful, but I am saying he's going to be a bit shit. So Franco Colapinto's P17. On to P16. I've put Nico Hulkenberg. Of course, finishing 3 places above where I've predicted his teammate, Gabriel Bortoleto in P19. I've put Hulkenberg at 16th. For the plain reason that, once again, the car, it's not impressing me. That Audi, I don't think is going to do the best. The only thing that's helping him to finish above both VCarbs, both Cadillacs, and Franco Colapinto and his teammate is the fact he has experience. He's gone through these changes before of regulations. He's been through 4 different regulations. He was in the V8 era, he was in the V6 era, and he was in the new era the era that's just gone, and now he's racing in this new era of F1. So he's gonna have the experience. He's gonna know how to adapt to new cars because he's done it many a times before. I mean, he's raced for 1,000 different teams, so he's definitely gonna know how to adapt to different things. But I see the car holding him back a lot. So Nico Hulkenberg, P16, plain and simple, just like that. On to P15. This one might shock a few people. Now, when I originally made this, I had him at P11. And then I did some thinking, and I was like, no, actually, I think he's going to do a bit bad. And I'm going to blame the car for it once again. Like you all do, like all professionals do. You blame your utensils, you blame your tools. I've put Alex Albon at P15. Now, obviously, we heard from James Vowles, they're going to be wanting to fight podiums, they're going to be wanting to fight for wins. They're going to want to bring Williams' name back to the top step of the podium. Bring it back into the top 3 in the championship. Bring back the Damon Hill days, the Villeneuve days, the Nigel Mansell days, the Pastor Maldonado at Spain in 2012 days. Bring them back. But they also put a lot into 2025. They got 3-4 podiums. So I think that's going to hurt them. How much they did work on that 2025 car compared to the 2026 car, I think it's going to hurt the team a lot. I think it will take till 2028 to actually have a good car. And unfortunately for Albon, that is going to affect him. Especially because he's been told he's going to be fighting for podiums. But to be fair, he's been given that chance before by Red Bull and he blew it. He only had 1 podium in his year and a half at Red Bull. So I don't see him doing the greatest. P15, Alexander Albon. On to P14. I've put Esteban Ocon. Now, like I said, I don't like him, so I am completely underrating him. I would probably finish a lot higher than I've put him, because I think Haas will have a good car, which we've already mentioned. We put Haas in P6 in Constructors. I've put Esteban Ocon P14 for the pure reason that the drivers I've put above him, I'm just thinking will be better. It's plain and it's simple, just like that. He has the midfield car. How I've put it, he has the best midfield car. Because I'm predicting Aston Martin will be a top team car, so 6th place is top of the midfield for me. But I still don't see him doing the greatest. Is he going to get points? Yes. Is it going to be a lot of points? I'm going to say he's just about going to miss out on 100. Which is quite hard to say for someone playing in P14. And if I'm completely honest, that's quite hard for someone finishing in P12 or 11 or even 10. So I'm going to say he's going to be more on around 70 points-ish. 50, 60, 70. So Esteban Ocon's just P14. He's going to be around there, but he's not going to be up there. On to P13, and I nearly said his name before the number, like I've already done before. I've put Pierre Gasly. Once again, I don't think Alpine's going to be the most impressive. He has hella experience. He knows how to handle cars. The car should be better than it was last year, and Pierre Gasly did single-handedly carry that Alpine team to, I want to say it was 12 points that they got last year. He had every single one of them points. So he's going to be a good driver, Pierre Gasly. Is he going to be the best driver? No. He's not going to be the best driver in the midfield. Never mind, the best driver. Is he going to be like how I called Ollie Behrman the driver of the year? Driver of the season, whatever. He's going to be in the talk. Pierre Gasly, he's going to be in the talk for a driver of the year. I'm predicting that now. But I don't see him doing the greatest. And so it's just plain and simple like that. P13 is going to be a proper midfield driver. He's going to be that one that always misses out on the top 10. He's going to be consistently 11th. And then he's just going to sneak in a random fucking P4 out of nowhere. Pretty much like how we did in 2020, to be honest. He was just always bloody 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, and then randomly out of nowhere he won a bloody race. So, plain simple like that. Pierre Gasly, P13. On to P12. I leaned back to shout that. On to P12, I've put Carlos Sainz. I don't know why I said it like that. So we've already heard how James Vowles would use the car, and we've already seen from last year that I think Carlos Sainz was the better driver than Albon. So I've just sort of put him P12 Will he get another podium? Maybe. Oh, I've hit my mic. I'm so sorry. Will he be consistent in the points? Who the bloody hell knows? Don't ask me. I'm only making the predictions. Shouldn't be asking the guy who's making the predictions to predict who's going to finish on the podium each race. Come on. But yeah, Carlos Sainz is a very random driver, I think. It sort of reminds me of Hulkenberg and Magnussen, how they were consistently midfield, but always could never get into a top team. Of course, the only difference is Carlos Sainz did race for Ferrari for 5 years. 4 years. 2021, 2022, 2023, 4 years. And even when he left, when he went to Williams, he was still good. He had the fire in his back. He did better than Hamilton, the man who replaced him, for goodness sake. And once again, I think it's just going to be the car that sort of holds him back. I don't see Williams doing the greatest. Like I said, they put a lot into last year's car. But by the midpoint, by around Spa and Zandvoort and Belgium, Spa and Belgium is the same place. Monza, that's the place I was trying to go for, not Belgium. Right by around that point, he might have a podium. I mean, I said I wasn't going to predict it. I'm saying he's going to get a podium by Italy. But yeah, Williams, Carlos Sainz, is going to finish in P12. Now P11. Now I feel like when I've watched other people's predictions, like I said, I only watched the P1 podcast's predictions for the season, so I don't know how everyone's felt about him. But I'm pretty sure Matt and Tommy both said he wouldn't be this high. So, but I've put him there. P11, I've put Lance Stroll. Now that might sound weird. You're going to call me absolutely crazy. Lance Stroll, P11. What the hell are you thinking, mate? He's an awful driver. He's a paid driver. He's probably the worst driver we've ever seen. The only reason he's in F1 is because his daddy owns the bloody team. You're right. Okay. You do know he got a pole position in the same year that the W11 was on the track. You do know in his first season of F1, he had 2 podiums in probably the most midfield car we've ever seen. Yeah, put that on your plate. Sorry, that was sort of toxic. But yeah, we've seen how Lance Stroll can do when he actually has a car that's capable. He was averaging points at the start of 2023 when Aston Martin was a rocket ship. Yes, his teammate was always on the podium, but he was still up there. I mean, he raced with a broken wrist and he still got, P8 in Bahrain in 2023? And when we look at other seasons where he's had a good car, 2020, he got 3-4 podiums and a pole position. In 2017 was his first season, I think. Yeah, 2017 was his first season. He got a couple of podiums as well, and that was him as a rookie. I think we're going to see the old Lance Stroll back. I'm not saying Lance Stroll is going to be a goated driver. Like I said, I haven't even put him in the top 10. I've put him 11th. But I do think he's going to get 1 or 2 podiums. And I do see him doing a little bit well, especially once Aston Martin sort out their engine issues. Lance Stroll is going to be good. You want to hear that or not? It is true. He is going to be a good driver. He's going to be in the talks. Not for the GOAT conversation. That wrong talk. You're thinking of the wrong thing there. He's going to be in the talks for a good driver this season. Like he was in 2017 and 2020, but he's going to be in the talks. On to P10, into the top 10. We're past halfway. Ollie Behrman is our 10th driver. Now, this one might sound weird, but like I said, he was probably the best driver last season. If they're all placed in equal cars, hell, Ollie Behrman would have been like top 5. It's only because he was in a crappy. He was in a crappy house. I was going to say, how? Right, hang on. Quick refresh on the bloody brain here. I was going to say crappy and shitty, and then I was going to say Haas, but instead I said crippy house. Please help me. I think I might be going insane. Anyway, P10, Ollie Behrman. Already one of the better drivers from last season. I think he was definitely a standout driver. He did better than Esteban Ocon, I think. He did finish higher in the championship, I think. But he was a better driver than Esteban Ocon, and I could see that happening again. I do think Ollie Behrman is going to be a good driver. Want to hear it or not? I mean, hopefully you want to hear it. He actually is a good driver. Next year he's going to be in the Ferrari seat, so what does that have to tell you? So yeah, Ollie Behrman is going to be playing simple. He's going to finish P10. Is he going to get a podium like I said Carlos Sainz, Lance Stroll and Nico Hulkenberg will? No. Ollie Behrman's not going to get on the podium. But he is going to be the best driver from the non-top 5 teams. And I mean, I've already said he's going to be better than Lance Stroll, who drives for one of them top 5 teams. So, what does that have to tell you? I'm saying Ollie Behrman's going to be good. He's going to be good. On to P9, I've put Isaac Hadjar. Now, when I said the second seat curse is fixed, I did not mean he's going to be top 3. He's just not going to be 18th, like where Yuki and Liam Lawson finished last season. But he is going to be top 10. I've put him P9 for a reason. Once again, like Ollie Behrman, is he going to get a podium? How the fuck should I know? I think maybe, yes, sure. I mean, I already compared him to 2022 Brazil George Russell. So we've sort of already said, is he going to get a podium? And I already said yes. But is he going to be a podium driver? No. No, he isn't. So I think that's all I really have to say for Isaac Hadjar. He's going to be the worst team. He's going to be the worst driver out of the top 5 teams, ignoring Lance Stroll. But he's not going to be a bad driver. He's probably been the best driver I've seen at VCARB since Liam Lawson in 2023. I want to hope I got that right. The one that knocked Max Verstappen out in Q2, qualifying in Singapore, I think that was in 2023, and I think it was Liam Lawson that did that. So, yeah, Isaac Hadjar is going to be P9. I think he's going to be the best second seat driver that Red Bull have had since Sergio Perez at the start of 2023. I think I'm going to start comparing him to that already, and I haven't even seen him drive the car yet. So yeah, plain as simple as that. Isaac Hadjar, P9. On to P8. We're getting into the top 8 now. This is where it starts to get very serious. We're into the drivers, which I'm already saying are going to get wins, are going to be averaging podiums. They're going to be quite close to each other. Maybe, hopefully. I wish. I would like close racing. I would like all 8 of these drivers to go into Abu Dhabi with a chance to win. Isn't going to happen. Definitely not. But we move. I've put Fernando Alonso. Now, I think this is another name people are waiting to see where I would predict them. Because Aston Martin has probably one of the best built cars with one of the worst built engines ever. And like I said when I spoke about Aston Martin as a team in the Constructors, I did say by Miami they're going to sort their issues out and they're going to be fighting for podiums, and Fernando Alonso is going to get a couple of wins. That's felt like I was speaking out of a verse of a rap card. I'm sorry for how fast I spoke there. But yeah, Fernando Alonso, I'm saying, is going to finish P8. He's going to get wins. He's definitely going to have more than 32 wins come the end of this season. And I'm going to say it, he's going to get his first win in the European stage. Do you know what would be quite goated, actually? He was born in Madrid, wasn't he? What city does F1 race in this year? A brand new track on the calendar. It's in Madrid. Fernando Alonso is going to win at Madrid. Is it Madrid Ring? Something like that, whatever it's called. Fernando Alonso is going to win there. He's going to win in his home city. I'm going to really hope I got that right and it isn't Carlos Sainz that was born in Madrid. One of them was, and I'm going to hope to God it was Fernando Alonso, or else I'm going to sound like a right idiot. Fernando Alonso finishing P8, and he's going to get a couple wins. On to P7, and once again, I think people are going to be very, very upset with this. I've put Lewis Hamilton. Now, hear me out. Stop shouting. Stop booing me. Okay. Don't leave. No, I would like my watch time. Stay. Lewis Hamilton's going to finish P7. Purely because the other drivers above him are just going to be better. Both Mercedes, both McLarens, Max and Charles, they're just going to be better drivers. And I'm going to be honest, unfortunately for Lewis, I could see what happened to him in 2007 reversed, where McLaren was favouriting Lewis and throwing up on Fernando Alonso's visor halfway through the race during the pit stop. I could see the complete opposite happening, where Ferrari massively favourite their star boy, the boy from their academy, the boy whose dream it was to win in his home country of Monaco. I could see him getting absolutely dominated by Charles Leclerc. But I do see him getting a couple of wins. Lewis Hamilton is going to stand on the podium in red. And hell, it could be the top step. Who bloody knows? But I just don't see him being the good driver of the top 4 teams. I mean, if we ignore Isaac Hadjar like we did with Lance Stroll when we were talking about Behrman and that, like if we just ignore Aston Martin and Isaac Hadjar, I think Lewis Hamilton's going to be the worst driver in the top 4 or 5 teams. So I think Hamilton is just going to be P7. And the main reason I'm saying that is because of how bad he was compared to Charles last year in his first season at Ferrari. So on to P6, we have Lando Norris. Now once again, sit your ass down and hear me the fuck out, okay? He's going to finish P6, but he's still a world champion. He's going to have the number 1 on his car. He's going to be a good driver, but I think the car's going to hold him back. Just a little bit. He's still finishing P6. Come on, don't be angry. At least he's finishing up there. At least I ain't putting where I put bloody Franco Colapinto in P17. I don't think McLaren's going to be that shit. I think he's in the World Championship talks, but I don't think he's going to be the greatest. But he is going to be averaging a podium every race. He's going to be averaging a P5, P6. He's going to get podiums. Who goddamn knows, okay? So on to P5, because I've just realised how much time I have left to do this. So I've really got to rush this now. Kimi Antonelli, I've put into P5. Good driver, I love him. I really have to rush this. Jesus Christ. What the hell sound did I just make with my lips? Please ignore it. Because Kimi Antonelli is going to finish in P5, okay? Good driver. He's going to get a couple wins. He's going to be in one of the best teams that's ever been in F1. I mean, he's at bloody Mercedes. Can we just talk about how good Mercedes are? No, we can't because we have no time. But yeah, I could see Kimi Antonelli doing very, very well. But he still has the least experience out of anyone in the top 4 teams, ignoring Isaac Hadjar. No. He has more experience than Isaac Hadjar. He is the least experienced driver in the top 4 teams. In the top 5 teams. He is the least experienced driver in the top 5 teams. And he's just been put into a new car. So, I'm talking about Isaac Hadjar. No, Kimi Antonelli. That is the driver we're talking about. Kimi Antonelli, he's probably one of the rookiest drivers in the top 5. But he's still very, very good. He's going to be adapted to these new cars now. So Kimi Antonelli, P5. I love you, baby. On to P4. We have another driver, which I do sort of like. I'm not going to lie. And it's quite bad me supporting him. Not supporting him as in he's my number 1, but supporting him as in, like, I do sort of still like him, you know. And if Max were to retire, I would put him in my number 1 or 2 spot with Kimi Antonelli. P4, Oscar Piastri. I do think he was a little bit robbed last season. And I think Mark Webber's going to be having them words with McLaren. Because let's be honest, he was robbed. And I think he's going to do better than Lando. Last year was Lando's turn, this year is Oscar's turn. Plain and simple. P3. I have, unfortunately, for my own sake, I don't know about you guys and how you feel about him, but for my sake, I've unfortunately put Max Verstappen in third. Now, here's where we can just turn it around a little. He's going to be in the championship fight. Max Verstappen is going to be dragging it to the wire for that championship fight. A bit like how Oscar, Lando and Max were last year. But, just like Oscar, Max is going to lose out because of whatever the fuck. It's not going to be team strategy like Oscar was screwed out by. It might be the car, for example. Max Verstappen's going to finish third because his car is going to be a bit awful. But it's still Max Verstappen, so he's still in the championship talks till at least Brazil and Vegas. Maybe even Abu Dhabi and Qatar. Wrong way around. Qatar and Abu Dhabi. On to P2 and P1. P2, we have George Russell. P1, I love you, Italy. I love you, Monaco. Charles Leclerc, the married man. Congratulations to him. Congratulations to Leo Leclerc for finally having a mother who has the same last name as him. George Russell, you've got rid of your T-pose, or else I would have put you P1. How dare you? And P1, I've put Charles Leclerc because I still like him. Charles Leclerc is just going to win the championship. It's plain and simple like that. Ferrari have the best engine. They have one of the best cars. Charles Leclerc was the quickest man in pre-season testing, although teams could have been sandbagging. That's the word I'm looking for. So I don't really see anyone rivaling Charles Leclerc. I still think the championship will go down to the wire. I think it's going to be between Max, George and Charles for most of the season. But I just don't really see how Russell's going to beat Leclerc. Plus, Leclerc deserves it more. Come on. Let's be honest. 2022, Ferrari screwed him over. 2024, Ferrari fucked him over. Every single other year, Ferrari fucked him over. This is the year. This is the year of the Tifosi, of the Ferrari, of the Monegas, of Charles flipping Leclerc. Thank you. That's the end of the predictions. Christ, that took a lot of energy to do, and I already know this video is going to be very long. So, yeah, thank you everyone for watching. I'm sure from most of that you were listening, you were probably watching my awful driving on F125. But thank you and goodbye.